A lot of the worst people you know throw around that quote, "This couldn't get made today." I've heard this claim about everything from Blazing Saddles to Scary Movie to fucking Gran Torino. Which, like, Gran Torino was made in 2008. Fucking calm down, you baby. The point is, most of the people who use that phrase, "couldn't get made today," mean broadly that it wouldn't get past the censors, that PC culture wouldn't allow it, or more generally, that they like the racist, ableist, homophobic, or otherwise problematic parts of these movies, and that they don't like that other people find issue with them. Blazing Saddles is undeniably a classic, but it is a classic despite those missteps, and not because of them. And if Mel Brooks were alive today to remake Blazing Saddles, hang on. Oh shit, he is alive. He's 96. Good for you, Mel. If Mel Brooks remade that movie today, I guarantee you it would handle the racial humor better than it did in the 70s. I guarantee you it would be funnier now than it was back then, because true comedy isn't about punching down for all eternity, and people who are genuinely good at their craft understand this. All that is to say, I won't be using that phrase to mean any of those things. I do not subscribe to the idea of a culture war, and it seems obvious and plain to see that plenty of uncritical, problematic content gets made and released today. And enjoying it makes you neither a saint nor martyr. You are not changing the world via your media consumption. You just like some things and not others, and that's fine. In Final Fantasy VII, you play the role of war criminal turned political activist Cloud Strife. You're basically a Mary Sue who is so cool and brooding that everyone just wants to jump your bones and be your best friend at all times. And you have perfect platinum blonde Hot Topic emo hair. Despite being the newest member of the group, you get the glory of actually planting the bomb on the reactor. You begin the game on your first mission to blow up a power plant with Avalanche, a diverse band of eco-terrorists consisting of Butch Lesbian, other Butch Lesbian, Fat Guy, and racially insensitive Mr. T impersonator. Later editions include the likes of Living Philly Fanatic mascot costume, Girl, and Furry. Important to the story, you only go along with them because they agree to pay you, and not because you think it's the right thing to do. And in a twist subversion of one of the most long-running Final Fantasy tropes, it is later revealed that Avalanche were actually the good guys the whole time, and you weren't accidentally working for the villains. This is an untwist I genuinely did not see coming when I first played this game after having played both 4 and 6. And being a politically illiterate and all-around kind of dumb 10-year-old, it caught me by surprise. The game contends with the reality of violent but necessary political movements with an unexpected amount of weight. A plot point later in the game is that the private company Shinra, that also functions as the government and police state, is very easily able to wield their political propaganda machine to make the public turn against you, the individual. Also, a cishet white guy is the one remembered and centered over the people of color and non-men that did most of the actual work. Really accurate portrayal of historic political movements there, Final Fantasy VII. Great job. Anyway, this Rainbow Coalition works together to dismantle global capitalism and bring about a fictional, post-human utopia in which the, again, somewhat problematic, indigenous guardians and protectors of nature are given their land back from those who sought to dispossess them of it and extort it until life on Earth was no longer viable. Basically, you shut down the pipelines. A further example of this type of movement away from subversive tropes about dismantling corporate power and towards liberal ideology of there are some good oligarchs can be plotted in real time alongside the releases of Final Fantasy games. While the early games are widely agnostic in their representation of power, postulating mostly that it can be a force for good or evil, we see a distinct shift starting at 4, where power is examined as a corrupting and destructive force. Then 6, where absolute power corrupts absolutely, and only those already terminally mad would seek it to begin with, becoming their own personal mad gods that bend the laws of the universe to their unknowable whims. 7, as we've talked about today, has its ideas of violent dismantling of power structures to save the world from ecological collapse. And finally, Tactics, which pits you against God and state with no heroes on any side of a war and every victim and civilian casualty becoming part of the growing conflict to gain power to subjugate, to become the boot which has stepped upon them. Hashtag, Wygraf did some things wrong, but ultimately was a victim of circumstances he was unable to rise above and shouldn't be judged as a villain for that. Contrast that trend, then, with the games that came later in the series. 8 being, well, kind of a mess, but you end up working for a quasi-governmental body that, while revealed to be stealing orphans to turn into soldiers, isn't really admonished for its actions. 9 is back to being mostly agnostic on the issues, with the Regency being portrayed as misguided and easily duped in their bids for power, but also kind in their familial bond, and some of them being good for the common people. But by 12, the franchise has you helping the monarchy regain their power, despite you being the brother of a soldier killed in the line of duty, and finally in 15, you and your extremely privileged pretty boy prince posse are taking a road trip together so you can get your ill-begotten kingdom back. You nepo baby fuck. Now, all that being said, you might not agree with me yet. There is a contingency of people who believe, wrongly so, let it be said, that leftist politics make more money for corporations than right-wing politics. I'm not going to go into details on why that isn't the case, but it's 2023 and Target can happily answer that for you. And honestly, the existence of queer people during Pride Month is about as center of an issue as corporations are willing to go in their messaging. But what if I told you that all the good politics in the world aren't what's holding this game back from being made today? See, I've buried the lead here, because no doubt some of you already clicked off the video and have gone to the comment section and typed out, "But D, Final Fantasy VII did get made today, and all those things were in it, and you're biased and nitpicking." And yeah, that's mostly true. I want to talk about another larger plot point, one that I never hear brought up and that I think most people forget about because of how uncomfortable it makes them. So do you remember earlier in the video when I said Cloud was a Mary Sue? I think that was intentional by the writers. I think, as an edgy young person, that you're supposed to identify and idolize Cloud to a very high degree. And I think that when the actual twist of the game occurs... No, not that one. The real twist. When it's revealed that Cloud isn't some cool, brooding, suave, mysterious super soldier, but instead a loser who got no people and lived with his mom while all his friends moved out of their shithole town? Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you? And the fact that you identify with this antisocial loser, I think, is supposed to hit you. I was 10 the first time I played the game, and I did not understand why they had made that choice. And I think most people never really internalize it. For a long time, I went on to be Cloud. I did not understand the message that it was trying to give me when I was young. The people who made Advent Children certainly didn't understand either. They undo all his character development and make him into the most special boy again. They turn him back into who he sees himself at the start of the game. Because as I said, I think most people don't want to contend with the idea that being an aloof, antisocial asshole who pretends to be someone they aren't isn't cool, actually. I think most people want to be who Cloud was at the start of the game. They, like Cloud, really just want to be Zack. Cloud goes into a coma upon the realization that he's average. Cishet dudes are just like that sometimes. He has to come clean with those people he's formed close bonds with, that he's been lying to them about who he really is the whole time. He isn't special, he's painfully average, having never really applied himself or pushed to be better, thinking probably, like most people who play games like this, that being aloof is preferable to being vulnerable. And in response to anyone who said they already remade Final Fantasy VII, I just want to let you know they kept all the political violence, the ecological terrorism, the reactors, and the private company villains. But they made the same mistake as Advent Children. They changed Cloud and how he interacts with the world and where he fits in. He is no longer a young man who has to learn that being engaged and present and interested in his friends' lives and in service to his community will bring him the fulfillment that playing the role of mysterious stranger never could. Instead, Sephiroth comes to you at what would be the end of Disc 1 on the original PlayStation and tells you, both the player and Cloud, that you are the most special boy, and only you can change the entire course of history and save the love interest. Because that twist is what stuck with the majority of people who played the original game all those years ago. The tragedy of losing a potential female love interest being so much greater than the idea that maybe you just aren't that special and you should work on yourself. The irony isn't lost on me. Ultimately, the reason they couldn't make Final Fantasy VII today isn't because of its good politics, problematic racial stereotypes, or its reliance on tropey, somewhat overused characters. I think Final Fantasy VII couldn't get made today, didn't get made today, because it deals with a cishet white guy coming to terms with his own mediocrity, and I think that would make too many people too uncomfortable. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you immensely. This isn't my normal content, although it's sort of becoming my more normal content. I really enjoyed this process. It took a lot longer than most of my videos, but, you know, it was a lot of fun. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It means a lot. Join the Discord down below. And for this whole month, I've had people ask if they can, like, give me money on Patreon or coffee or whatever. I'm going to set that up next month, but being that it's Pride Month right now and I'm a very vocal trans person, what you can do is you can donate to any queer nonprofit this month and send me proof on Discord, and I will add your name to this outro. What you're currently looking at is a black screen, probably, unless someone has sent me something very last minute, and you can change that. You can have your name here and a personalized thank you, and just know that I really mean it and appreciate it if you do so. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.